It should be live because if I'm right, I'm not. Hey, look at that! I'm streaming to the right channel today
Yay!
because I went live on the wrong channel the other day. Last
Oh,
few streams because I'm not streaming as much, so it's like it's not a technical issue. It's always a technical issue of I forget to change which server or which channel to stream from.
yeah.
I think our last stream where you, me, and Emily were chatting. I started on my stream channel, and, and then one of my last streams on my personal channel started here. It's I keep forgetting. So we are live. Uh, I'm seeing some friendly faces already coming in. Welcome.
Yay! Hi, Elia. See
Cheers.
Elia in the chat.
I got my tea for tonight too.
I've been trying to figure out
Mm-hmm.
how to do like every generation has their own heart, like and their own way of doing it. It's like and then now kids are out here with their like ring fingers and I don't know.
I think maybe I'm doing it right.
That's like apparently that's like the Gen X way to do it.
Is it? I thought
Yeah, it's like millennials do it one way, Gen X does it another, and then like Gen Z's got their own like wackadoo like using ring fingers and
you could
crazy
do.
like
I don't know. It's
yeah,
all the same to me.
I
I don't know.
don't know. My
I,
fingers don't work like that.
Mine do apparently, but my wrist regrets it now.
Yeah.
I'm getting to that point these days, uh, where pro gamer tip. If you want to be comfortable now and you use a controller, especially on a couch, we got one of those like foam desk things where it's almost like it's a fully enclosing thing, so I can put my arms up, have my controller in front of me.
Nice.
Oh, it is so comfortable. Welcome everybody. Hi. Yeah.
Portable desk.
Yes. Thanks, babe. She's got my
Hey,
back.
Mr. Withers. What's up, Peyton?
Oh my gosh. Not, well, we're giving it a few minutes. I'm gonna try to think of. I like to start streams with random questions too. So
Nice.
if anyone's got a random question for both of us, throw it in chat. Um, do you okay? Let's see. Do you have? Hey, Dama, thank you for the follow. Okay. Do you have like a favorite cozy game you like?
Ooh, a favorite cozy game. My problem is like I'm not like a cozy gamer kind of person.
Mm-hmm.
I cuz like when I think of cozy games, I think of like people talking about like Animal Crossing and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And I don't do sandbox games. Like
And
I I don't like them. I'm not even that big of a fan of like super like of things that are too open world.
mhm.
So like for me, my comfort game is Mass Effect.
Hey, you know, I was just about to follow up with that because I was just like,
Yeah.
mine is sometimes Portal or Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of
Yeah.
Time. It's
Like
just,
I like to hit things and pew pew. I like that's the stuff that I like to do. So, I get into a game and like the relationships, I like the relationships within Mass Effect.
mhm.
So, to like I find the formation of those relationships and those friendships, that's cozy for me.
Those are
Like
my
that
buddies, my pals.
if all chips were eliminated but one, which kind would you keep?
Ooh,
Oh,
that's a
that's a
tough one.
tough call because like I'm actually like a huge chip. I'm a huge chip person. I have
Yeah,
met very few chips in my life that I have not enjoyed.
yeah.
Um, but I would
Ooh,
probably I used to be such a huge Cool Ranch Dorito person,
same. I
but
can't do it like I used to.
I found recently that I really like the nacho, just like the classic
Hmm.
nacho cheese Doritos. Just but I do love barbecue potato chips as well. And
You-
so that's it, like if Jay's barbecue potato chips in particular, those not Lay's,
Oh,
Jay's.
okay.
Like the Chicago, the white bag, barbecue, red text.
Yeah, with a
Those
hot dog.
are those are like the best barbecue chips out there.
I I was about to say
Chicago thing.
um Cool Ranch Doritos was like always my favorite growing up, but I've gotten older. Something about the cheddar sun chips. I just love them. They go great with like so many things, sandwiches,
I
just
like
as
the
a
garlic
snack.
salsa. Those are really good. Like I like a little bite. I like a little spice. So
A little bit of flavor.
a little bit of heat.
We've got a little bit of influx. Just give it maybe like one more minute. If anyone else has like one more quick question that we can make, if
Let's
it's
be a
quick.
sniper enemy. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I'm playing an adept for the very first time in Mass Effect.
Hmm.
And I never go space wizard. I
Yeah.
always want to like be a sniper and stuff. But then when it let me like choose a secondary skill, I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be a sniper. I'm gonna be an adept sniper. Of course I am.
I'm
So
terrible as a sniper. I've
my
been
favorite.
going the soldier route, I think, where it's just
Okay.
like give me an assault rifle and maybe a pistol for up close. Like I like the combo of pistol, shotgun, assault rifle.
I
Um,
find I find headshots so sad. I feel like a terrible person saying this. I find headshots very satisfying in video games. And then when you can like in some of the later games,
mhm.
um it's always assault rifle, never a pepper rifle. Um in later games when they actually you have the guys who have the armor things and you can actually like mail slot like
Oh,
when I can like mail slot them.
mhm.
I'm just like yeah.
I
It's terrible,
random
terrible.
random thing about
Klingon chick.
I'm gonna all the Klingon and I will be asking questions about that, but the thing I was gonna say about Mass Effect, I know I've started replaying it again. You've replayed it again. It's like $5 on Steam, and it's like Steam Deck compatible. I'm really contemplating buying it one more time so I can play on my Steam Deck.
Oh no, I love the legendary edition.
Yeah.
I love it. Love it. Hard
So,
agree on cheddar sun chips and the salsa ones. Yes,
mm,
yes. Except in in Wonderland in the Alice games. Oh, I don't know that. I don't know that one.
I have the American McGee Return to Neverland. Return to Neverland. Different IP, different land. Somehow involved with Disney. I still haven't played it though. It's like a 20 some odd year old. Oh, Pepper
Oh,
Grinder.
the Pepper Grinder.
That makes sense. Um, I guess we can start with introductions. I guess I will be hosting, as it were. I go by Dave, he, him pronouns. You might know me on the internet as Aerodash84. Um, and Jen, if you want to introduce, what is a current game you're enjoying? For me, me and Christy Rave in chat have been playing Stardew Valley. So that's been kind of our co-op together at the end of the night. And also playing Final Fantasy VII.
I am Jen. Some people know me as Commander Jenbaum, or the Klingon Pop Warrior. My main shtick, as it were, I sing pop and rock songs translated into the Klingon language. I'm the Klingon language consultant for Star Trek Prodigy. and I have been doing Extra Life for 10 years. This is my 10th year gaming for Extra Life. Yay.
Hey.
And I am now also on the leadership advisory committee as the social media person. And For Extra Life Chicago. And I'm really proud of that. And then my game that I'm playing right now that I love is I'm playing through the Dragon Age trilogy for the first time. And so I am finally playing Dragon Age Inquisition. So it's all a first playthrough. So that's my Saturday morning stream, and I am loving it. I'm really, really, really loving it. So that's the main thing that I'm playing right now. Um, and then I started on election night I started another Mass Effect playthrough, and so that is nobody expects the Dragon Age Inquisition. Um so I started another Mass Effect playthrough as a renegade, but I also play my I guess one of my other cozy games because I play it like all the time is Star Trek Online. So that's an MMO, but I'm basically in the Space Barbie phase of it. I've played through all the main story quests, and so now it's just about like getting silly consoles so that my ship spits fire out the front of it and stuff like that. Like
Question, just because like I'm not as familiar. And you're talking about Space Barbie. So I think a big thing about MMOs is like the outfits you can wear. Like, what is
Right.
how much can you like bling out your character? I'm very
Oh,
curious.
very much. You can, yeah. It's so with Stowe, it's free to play, but and you can do like honestly, you can do a lot
Mhm.
without spending any money. It takes some grinding.
Yeah.
Um, if you don't want to spend any money, then yeah, you're gonna grind a good bit. But yeah, yeeting a planetoid at your enemies. There's really goofy stuff like that in there. So you can get ships, you can change all the colors on the ship. You can get different shields and deflectors and things like that. So like I right now I have a shield on my ship that makes it look like like oil slick colors. So it's like pinks and blues and stuff like that.
That's
And
cool.
then it's got the deflector dish has like rainbows shooting out the front of
Ah.
it. Um I made my character look like my Klingon, like the Klingon pop
Yeah.
warrior look with the like red hair and stuff like that. And I've done like pink outfits where I've like made like the traditional Klingon uniform all pink, and stuff like that. So there's a lot of customization there, and there are lots of packs that you can get for modifying outfits, so you can get different uniforms and stuff like that. So yeah, there's a lot there. It's a lot. It's an old game, so it's really overblown and kind of overcomplicated, um, in a lot of ways. But yeah,
That's cool.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm just always curious about that. I've been trying to resist the MMO urge to get back into like WoW or something, but feel it pulling.
I know
Um,
that's I'm every once in a while I'm like, but Final Fantasy 14 was a lot of fun.
that's all
And I'm
that
like,
that's been
don't
coming
do
up.
it.
And I feel like these kind of games get us started talking about more games, and like I feel like there's always that one game that kind of pulls you in. And I want to ask like all our guild members, all our guests, um, what would you say is like your gaming origin, board game or video game? Like, how did you what got you into gaming, or who got you into it? Was
We had my grandparents had an Atari 2600 when I was a kid. So I would go to my grandparents' house for the holidays and sit in front of the TV playing Dodgem and Pitfall and Super Breakout, um, and stuff like that. So that was really, I mean, yeah, board games and stuff, sure, but like where but that was like my first time like console, and then my parents got an Atari 2600. Then we got one
Yeah.
and started playing that. Then we upgraded to an Atari 7800, which meant you could play all your 2600 games on it, but then you got like the better graphics 7800 games to go with it. And then my brothers, I think, wanted a Nintendo, so we ended up getting an NES. Um, because I'm old. So we had OG Nintendo, and then I was like playing Mario, and I think I was the first person in the family to actually like make it to the end of Mario, like the original like Super Mario. Um, and then but the one that got me that I thought was so interesting was it was like this, it came with our Nintendo, and then they gave us this book that was like all the maps and all the information, and it was this game. It was, I can't remember, it was Dragon something, but it was
Dragon
like
Warrior? Was it like an
maybe like
RPG?
yeah, so it was like an
Maybe
art,
Dragon Warrior.
but it was like Dragon Warrior 2 or something, because I
Yeah.
think one of them never made it to the US or something like that. And so like I started playing that, and that was like the first game where I learned what grinding really was. And like leveling up and stuff. But I had the Dragon Quest, maybe that's it. And yeah, like I used that book, and I was so excited. I had like this guide to the game, and like I went out and I killed all the slimes. Um, and yeah, but then I like never really played anything else like that. Like I couldn't, nobody else in the family was interested. So then I kind of got away from it. Then PC gaming, my first game was Quake 2 in college.
That game.
We would play capture the flag on
Mhm.
the like my college server, like everybody in their dorm rooms.
Those were fun.
The LAN party days where
Oh
you're
my gosh.
hauling your computer and your CRT monitor in a laundry basket to your friend's
Oh,
house.
and I had like a 27-inch CRTV, so like that thing never. I
Oh
had
yeah,
people come
yeah,
to my room.
yeah.
Um, that's cool. So, did your grandparents did they have it for like when the grandkids all came in? Like, I'm curious as to why they
I
had. You know?
honestly, I don't know. To this day, I'm like, was that because my aunt Rita, because
Hmm.
like she was in college when like she was 14 when my parents got married, so she would have been 15 when I was born.
Hmm.
Like, so she would have, I'm like, maybe it was because of her,
Yeah.
and so she would play. I don't know. Like, I don't think I ever saw my grandpa sitting around playing for, Pitfall. Um,
I mean, that
but
could have been fun to see though.
right? So yeah, I don't know why they had an Atari. I don't know if it was for my uncle or what, but I think he was already moved out at that point. So, yeah,
Did
I don't
you?
know.
I know you named a couple games that you really enjoyed. Are there some like you'd say the pinnacle games like from my childhood? These probably developed where like the games I'm into now. Like I know you mentioned. I think so. I was looking around. I had someone gave me a copy of Dragon Warrior 3, and I was like, "Do I have it on next to me?" So I was like hoping I could pull it and be like, "Is it this game?" Uh,
I don't know, because so many games for like I loved like pole position and stuff like that. But like I don't give two hoots about racing games nowadays.
yeah.
Like, so I don't really know. If anything, maybe they were like the reason why I maybe enjoyed playing Mario Kart. Uh i- that it was sort of that reminded me of some of the racing games from then. But yeah, like I think I always was just kind of like an equal opportunity about it. I just, I liked puzzle games. But I didn't mind platformers. Um, yeah.
I This is just kind of make me think. Growing up, back in the 90s and the 80s, when we wanted to get video games, if we were for me it was like, if I was lucky, it was maybe my birthday, maybe Christmas, but we had the video store, we had the Blockbusters, we had the
Went.
local mom and pops. um did you ever find you I don't know if you had the opportunity, but like when you were, if you went to the video store and got some games, like I feel like
My
it,
brothers did, but
yeah,
I didn't really do that.
no.
Like I think like I started to get out of gaming in high school, and at that point I started to get I got into Magic the Gathering. Magic the Gathering came out when I was in high school. And so I have like I still have my shoebox full of cards down in the basement. Like that I would love to have somebody go through at some point who knows more about that stuff than I do. Cuz I know I've got some rare stuff in there. Cuz I've got like like Arabian Nights, which was one of the first expansions. Stuff like that. So like that's I got into that, but like but even that, like, I didn't care so much about the game, my friends were playing, so I played. But,
Yeah.
like, then when I went off to college, I was in theater, and even in high school, I was in theater, I was in choir, I worked a part-time job, I had homework. I didn't have a lot of time to play video games, so I didn't as much, and then in college, I kinda got back into it when I got the computer and people were like, "Oh, we're playing Quake 2." And I was really bad at it. First person shooters and me, we don't do well. I was mostly cannon fodder for everybody else. Like
Just spin around and
yeah,
we
like
we
just
had
doing
one.
my best trying to sneak up on people. Um
As long as you had
but
fun, you know.
yeah.
I think like I have a bunch of memories where it's like first person shooters. I wasn't great. Halo, I wasn't great, but man, there's so much. There's something about playing a game with people in the room with you that just online can't replicate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like those Mario Kart, Super Mario Party,
Hmm.
like when at the N64 came out my like junior year of college, and I remember everybody sitting around like a freaking 20-inch TV for, like everybody's square is
Yep.
like, that big.
Don't cheat.
for
Don't look.
and you're just like you couldn't cheat because you're like you're squinting to see your own stuff. So yeah, those were the days. Those really were the days. It's that was what made LAN parties and stuff so fun too, though, was even if you weren't all playing the same thing, like just hanging out and and having that experience. You can't really. It's a magic that's hard to that you can't really capture nowadays. Kids these days, they don't
Right.
know what we went through.
I hope to share that with the younger generation. And something heard you talking about, and everyone's bringing up college, is you mentioned you were in theater in college, and I want to know. So I know you've been a singer. I don't know how long you've been a singer, but um, what it I guess what drew you to also theater and your singing background, like uh, you know,
Yeah.
basically or I feel like everything kind of leads up to Klingon Pop Warrior and our
Yeah.
nerdiness. But and it's one of those things like uh, I took some theater classes. I enjoyed it, but I didn't stick with it. So what drew you to like a theater program and then
Yeah.
and your music career early on?
I yeah, I always sang. I think in my baby book at like age 2, it said that I sang more than I talked. My dad was really he's a very musical person. He worked in a recording studio, played guitar. Um and and so like music was just always in our house, and I really like I kind of take after him in that I'm one of the I can usually like hear the opening drum riff of a
Mhm.
song, or like I can hear like two beats, or like a couple bass pops, and I'm like, "Oh, that's this song by this artist." Like he and I, like, we are typically like deadly at like name that tune. Um and so I never loved singing solo in front of
Mhm.
people. I always got really nervous. Loved singing in choirs. Um, did a little bit of theater in junior high, but we didn't really have like theater in junior high. But I had there was a teacher, like I auditioned for the school talent show in 8th grade, which I still to this day often am like, wow, how did I have the courage to do that? Because I was not a popular kid, like, at all. And and so, like, I was setting myself up for just ridicule, and I'm like, "I can't believe I think about it now, I'm like, "Wow, I can't believe I did that." That was kind of brave for, for me for that age. Um, and the teacher who was putting the school talent show together didn't like the song that I sang, but was like, she's like, "Do you have something else?" And so I had just gotten the sheet music book for The Little Mermaid, the Disney movie, and I was like,
Mhm.
"Well, I could sing like Part of Your World." And so I sang Part of Your World for the talent show. And during that or for that for the singers, she had the high school choir director come to the junior high,
Mhm.
and Mrs. Johnson, and Mrs. Johnson brought Mrs. Joseph with her, who was a voice teacher, who would sometimes would do like lessons for students at the high school, and so they came and coached us for the talent show, like kind of went through our songs with us and stuff like that, and Mrs. Johnson was like, "Are you signed up for choir next year?" And I'm like,
Recruitment.
"N," and I just said, "No, I didn't have room in my schedule," and she was like, "Do you have a study hall?" And I was like, "Yeah, yeah, I've got a study hall." She's like, "You don't need study hall. You need to be in choir."
Aw.
And so she was the one, she's like, "I'll talk to your counselor." And so she went and talked to my counselor and got me moved from a study hall into choir. So, yeah, you don't need a study hall. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm really I'll be forever grateful. They also coached me then. I did a music competition that summer, and that was one of the first time I ever won a medal was for that contest, and I won my little medal. I sang "Oh What a Beautiful Morning" from Oklahoma.
Good
And
musical.
and yeah, and so that was really how it then started to snowball for me. But I still didn't really like singing in front of people, like not so like I would get really nervous when I would do solos, like handshaking. I blocked out singing for that 8th grade talent show. Like, I remember walking up to the piano in the gymnasium, and then I remember walking away from the piano. And I don't remember anything that happened while I was singing. And I had parents coming up to me in the hallway afterwards being like, "You didn't do the voice, did you?" Like,
Aw.
there were people who thought that I was like
Jody
the
Benson.
like Jody Benson, and I was like, "I'm only, 13 freaking years old. Like, no, like, that was not me, but thank you." Um, and so it was just, I don't know, like, I had, people who believed in me, and, when I got to high school then and I started in choir, Mrs. Joseph was like, "Are you going to take voice lessons?" And I was like, "Oh, I don't think my family can afford that." And she's like, "Give me your phone number. Let me talk to your parents." And like, I think about those people who who had that faith in me. And it as an adult thinking about it, it's like, wow, that these people really believed in what I could do. And it's it pushed me to want to do them proud. Um throughout throughout all that time. And so I did vocal contests in high school, and and I have my box of trophies. And but then I kept auditioning for plays, and I finally got cast in one of the high school plays, and I had such a good time, and it was such a different experience. And then my we only did musicals every other year. So we had a musical my freshman year and a musical my junior year. So we weren't going to have a musical my senior year. And I ended up getting cast in the lead of the musical my junior year. And I
Yeah,
don't really care for musical theater,
yeah.
ironically, but that experience was so magical. And then I did a pretty serious show my senior year called Dancing at Lunasa, and I had auditioned for I wanted to go to Millikan University because of Jodie Benson. So the woman who voiced the Little Mermaid is the reason why I went to Millikan University. It was the only school I applied for.
Oh, wow.
I had to do. I was gutsy. I was a gutsy gal.
All the eggs in the basket.
And yeah, I had no backup plan if I did not get in. And I performed for I did an audition for the music department and an audition for the theater department. But they actually had a musical theater program, but I didn't audition for the musical theater program because I didn't want to dance. I don't dance. I sing real pretty. I can hold my own in on stage I can act. I actually am not a terrible actor. Um I just haven't done it in a long time. Um, but like yeah, it all I got scholarships for both, but I was kind of like I can sing. That's not some unless I do something catastrophic, which frankly singing in Klingon might be considered. Um the I'm always going to be able to sing, but acting was something that and I studied classical voice. I took voice lessons for all 4 years of high school then, and like by the time I graduated I was doing music where Mrs. Joseph was like, I wouldn't give some of my college students some of the stuff I'm giving you. um so I was singing at a pretty high level. But I was like, I really want to focus on acting. Like I really fell in love with acting, and like losing myself in a role um was really magical. And there's like two places in the world where I kind of can just let life go
Mhm.
and just be present, and it's on stage and when I'm cooking in the kitchen.
Mhm.
Those are like the two places where I can just like be real zen
It,
about what's happening.
uh,
Yeah.
was it Soul? I'm trying to remember. Like it's like you hit that moment where it's just like, I'm in the zone. I am there, and
Yeah.
um,
Yeah, it's like you forget what's going on. And yeah, and then eventually I got cast in a Klingon Christmas Carol when as an adult when I moved back to Chicago. And I studied improv. I did like I've dabbled in just about everything. I studied improv at IO. I've done, like I sing, I done voiceover. I've done like a little bit of everything. And yeah, but the Klingon thing just kind of fell in my lap, and my improv training told me to say yes, and I just kept saying yes, and here I am a decade later.
so I've kind of heard a little bit from you, and actually, I think I have some friends that I know who were at that show. Because it was just one time, right? 2012 ish.
No, so no,
Or
I was
no?
I was in the first year.
Oh,
So 2010
okay.
was the first year that it was in Chicago. It actually started in the Twin Cities. My friends who wrote it, I actually lived in the Twin Cities for 8 years.
Okay.
And so I performed with the theater company that produced it while I was up there, I think, or at least like I knew the people. It's a small pond up there, so you kind of know everybody in the theater world. And they're like, we're going to bring it to Chicago. So it would have been the third or fourth year that it was being performed up in the Twin Cities, but it was the first year in Chicago. And I did 2010 and 2011, and then I took a break, and then I never ended up going back to it. It ended
Mhm.
up switching to a different theater company, and there's a whole it's a whole thing.
Gotcha.
I've got a lot of insight. I was on the board of the theater for a while, so I have a lot of the inside baseball. Um, and there's a lot of drama.
Sure.
But it was then in 2013 I got messaged by my friend Chris, who ran the theater company and was one of the main writers of the show, and he was like, "Hey, the Improvised Star Trek podcast needs some help. They need somebody um who can sing in Klingon, and the song they need is Kiss Me by Sixpence None the Richer.
Yeah.
We've already translated it for them. They just need somebody who can sing it. Would you be interested?" And I was like, "Yes." Cuz Chris knew me, like I sang in covers bands almost the whole time that I lived up in the Twin Cities. I got over my fear of singing in front of people because I would just start drinking and before I got on stage. And that
Apple
was
juice. It was apple juice.
and yeah, it's just apple juice. And then eventually, like now, it that the rock star kind of like Jennifer kind of became a persona.
Mhm.
It became like an act almost, like feeling like I was cool enough to get up on stage to sing in a band that like getting the clothes, putting on the makeup, doing my hair and stuff became like its own character. Um, and that's how I got through it is sort of and got over it was karaoke, a little bit of drinking and then creating a character for myself.
So did was your first experience singing? I guess I have a question, kind of going back to the Klingon Christmas. Was that the first time you had sang in Klingon? Like, I'm kind of curious where singing in
Yeah.
Klingon started, because that's, I think, for anyone
Yeah.
not familiar, like it's I'm not aware of where this all originated. So was it that show or
Yeah, so in the show, the show itself wasn't a musical,
okay?
but there was a moment where he wanted me to sing the Klingon warrior anthem while we were setting the table. I was Mrs. Cratchit. I was the Klingon equivalent of Mrs. Cratchit.
Ah,
So he wanted me to like while I was setting the table, we were singing Koi Kalish Pu Claude Koi, and like me and the daughter. And and that song, there is not a single good recording of it out there. Every recording of it that exists descends into complete chaos by the end of it. So my goal, they're also all really terribly mispronounced. Like they're not pronounced properly. So I was like, I'm gonna sing this right. I am going to have it memorized. I am going to sing the whole song and I am going to sing it correctly. Um that was my goal and I succeeded, and it was kind of one of those moments where there were some people who were like, "Oh, that's what the end of that song is supposed to sound like," you know?
yeah.
Um and so that was how it started, and then the Pop Warrior project was really birthed because of the Improvised Star Trek podcast.
Yeah.
Doing that song, Kiss Me, um, I ended up doing it. It was just supposed to be like a little backing thing. It was like a button on the end of the episode. It was like the joke, like the final like punchline of computer, play it in Klingon. And then it switches from the original
Mhm.
to me singing in Klingon. And then when we finished the recording, we were laughing and we're like, "Oh, we should." Somebody was like, I can't remember who said it, like who in the room said it, but we're like, "We should make a music video." Her. So we did. And we put the music video out there, and the response to it, that was 2013.
Mhm.
And the response to it was overwhelmingly positive. Like really, really, really positive. And we all know like the internet hates everything. But like the internet loved this silly song in sung in Klingon. and the we went semi-viral, like, we went modestly viral. For
Mhm.
2013, we had 100,000 views within 48 hours, which was pretty good for 2013. Um, but it didn't, it was never like a million views or anything like that, but it got the ball rolling, and I was like, well, maybe there's other songs out there.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure, has anybody translated anything else? So like I just kind of started asking around.
Mhm.
Um and then slowly collected songs that other people had translated, and then eventually I ended up with 4 songs, and I was like, well, 4 songs is an EP. Like, I could I had sung in a handful of bands when I moved after I moved back here. So like I knew some musicians, and I was like, well, I could get together with some of my musician friends, and like we could get into a recording studio and record these songs. I'll like do a Kickstarter, and it'll be funny and fun and whatever. And it turned into a 6-song EP, and that was 2014. That was the birth of the Klingon Pop Warrior project.
And
And yeah,
then
here we are 10 years later.
in 2024, and
Yeah.
uh, just kind of tying things in with we're here with Extra Life for the
Right.
Klingon Pop Warrior. Um, Before we get into your Extra Life origins, how maybe for anyone who may have not seen your game day marathons or not familiar with how you've incorporated your Klingon Pop Warrior music, would you like to let people know like the different things you've done, taking your talent, your skills, and incorporating that with Extra Life fundraising?
Yeah, yeah. So, um, my one of my favorite things that I started doing, I didn't do it right away. It was actually a little bit more recent than that. Um, Not super recent at this point. I started letting people vote on songs for me to translate. And it started with just one song, and eventually that grew into a collaboration that was it happened very organically before Twitter became what it is now. It was a really organic, great kind of social media love story in that so I ended up getting to collaborate with this artist from the West Coast called Unwoman, and she does covers, and she does these really cool like cello-y steampunk covers. And the year that we kind of ended up getting introduced to each other, uh she basically opened up her entire back catalog of covers and said, any of them you want, just let me know, I'll send you the instrumentation. So suddenly I didn't have to worry about creating the backing tracks and working with musicians to get the backing tracks done. And her back catalog of covers was prolific. Like, it was
Mhm.
massive. I could list 20 songs, and there's like 70 more, like, that aren't on that list. So it was a way to I was able to then, like, the first year that I did that, which was I think now like 3 or 4 years ago, um I did ended up doing 5 songs. And then the next year I did another 4. And because I was just using her thing. And now I'm doing holiday carols. So I'm actually translating
Oh,
songs
cool.
voted on by people, by donors and fans. So they're getting what they want. And I have one more that I have to get translated by Saturday. Ooh. Um
Little bit
and
of a deadline there.
a little bit of a deadline. Um the but it'll be fine. It'll be fine. I
It's
just
fine.
letting it go. Yibushko. It'll be fine. Um the but yeah, that's how one of the main ways that I do it. I also do it I'm 470 when I hit $470 fundraising. 47's like a Star Trek number. It's like weird 27 for Weird Al, 47 is like a writer's joke, and it crops up in things. So when I hit 470, I put my ridges on, and I do like a full application of my ridges live on stream. It's the first thing I do on the stream. And And I walk through the process. So like people who tune in every year for 10 years now, they've seen me do it, 10 years in a row. But for people who haven't, it's like something new. I walk through the products that I use, why I use the kinds of ridges that I do, like all of that. I kind of go through the whole makeup process. And then I also let people vote on what I wear. So I think I call it like the cheesy holodeck, and so it's always like a silly Halloween costume. It's not something that I make. It's like cheesy store bought. Like we're going like full crazy. This year, I think this year they actually I don't think I know. I'm gonna be a Klingon Oktoberfest like beer
Oh,
girl.
the
Um,
beer maiden.
but yeah, but I got like a really nice journal. Like it's
Mm.
really, really nice. I did like go for quality. Past I've done Klingon Rainbow Bright, Klingon Princess Peach. I've gamed in a Cthulhu onesie. I a Rainbow Unicorn onesie, I think 1 year. So like sometimes I do onesies, sometimes I don't. Um but yeah, that's always really fun. Then I do the song translations, but then the next thing after the first song translation is a concert, a live stream concert as one of my like challenge unlocks fundraising. So it's like, look, yeah, you may have unlocked me translating this song, but if you actually want to hear me perform it, you got to get me here. Like
Yeah.
you got to get me up to this level so that and then I'll perform it. I do goofy food challenges, which isn't so much Klingon, but Klingons do eat some strange foods. So,
A hot
um
sauce challenge I saw you do 1 year.
that was
Yeah.
the word. That was the first year I did a food challenge and never again. Don't do hot sauce
Yeah.
challenges.
Careful about
It will
some of those raw
terrible,
foods.
terrible
Yeah.
idea. Don't do it for 24-hour live streams. Um but I love the 24-hour live stream. It really it I look forward to it every year. This has become my favorite event that I do every year. Elia in the chat, who I'm going on the Star Trek cruise with next year,
Hey.
like we met
Cool.
because they found me
Hmm.
doing my extra life stream, I think, like 1 year. And like here it's I love that. It's to me like that stream doing the 24 hours if you can do it. And I get that it's not for everybody. I mean, I'm no spring chicken anymore. And it wrecks me for a couple days, but it's the habanero jelly bean stuck around. Yeah, that's true. Um and it really is like it's just a I don't know. I find it really joyful, and there's nothing controversial about raising money for kids. It's if anything, some days I think it should be, or I feel like it is because of why we have to do it at all. Um, but it's just a happy, um, important thing, and it makes me glad that I can give back to my community. When I did it the first year, it's because I found out I was going to be an aunt for the first time, and I'm like, well, I'm not having kids. But like I can do one sleepless night a year where, in honor of my, the fact that my brother and sister-in-law aren't going to get to sleep for the next, 4 years of their life. Um, and so like what's one night a year, is kind of how I look at it. And so yeah, it makes me happy.
I'm looking through. I'm like, you're answering a bunch of my questions without even me having to ask. But
I told you, you
yeah.
ask me one question, I'll talk for 20 minutes.
But
Like I'm
you did hit one point that was part of that. Like, why did you do your first year? But
I broke my ankle.
a- and for the new niece,
Yes.
um,
Yeah.
but you were talking about and I'm gonna butcher Elia. Am I
Oh yeah.
pronounced? Okay,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
sweet. I'm terrible sometimes pronouncing names, but discovered you doing your marathon. How did you find out about Extra Life? I guess.
I ran into y'all at a convention.
Oh, I'd be like,
I
was it me? It might have
Yeah,
been me
probably.
actually.
I think it may have been you and Emily
Very good chance.
working a table, and I was like, "Oh, that's really cool. What a clever idea." And I got into gaming. I had kind of gotten out of gaming for a while, and then I broke my ankle right after I released my first EP. And so I had to cancel all kinds of events that I had lined up. I had
Mhm.
lined up at like 2 or 3 conventions. I had, like it was and so I lost a lot of momentum. I'd also run my very first 5K in 2014. So I was like, "Oh, that," and I never thought I would like to run like ever, but I trained for it and I did it and I was like, "Wow, that was a ton of fun. I think I'm going to do that again."
Yeah.
So I was looking forward to the idea of doing like charity runs. And then when I broke my ankle, like the doc I had to get 3 screws in there. I broke it in a really weird way, and the doctor was pretty much like, "Look, your ankle's never gonna be the same again. Like, you have to be really careful on hard surfaces and stuff." So I was like, "Well, there goes any, like, forget running again." Um, and so I was like, "Well, what can I do?" And then I'm like, "Wait a minute, there was that, like, really cool, like, gaming marathon thing. I should look into that." And especially because while I was laid up, I started playing video games. I was like, "You know what? I've got this game that I never got around to playing and this game that I never played." And so I just started playing all of these games that I had never gotten around to playing. And I'm like, "Oh, that'll be a great way to spend my,
24
24 hours
hours.
gaming and, see if some friends want to join me." And now I can barely fit people in. Like I have so many things that I do. I'm like, I can't fit any of my friends in anymore. Um which is like kind of a good problem to have, I guess. Like it means I don't get bored typically. Um but yeah, it's it's a whole thing. No.
And kind of talking about game day and things that you plan. Uh, just for everyone joining us, the other reason we had this stream scheduled for this week, you are doing your marathon this weekend. You want to let people know like your schedule, what you have
Yeah.
planned.
Yeah, so my 24 hours O gaming is this Saturday, December 7th. I'm going to start at 9 a.m. Central, if you're not Central time. So it's going to start at 9 a.m. Central. I actually normally stream on Saturdays starting around 8 a.m. Central. So I'm pushing it an hour so that I can make sure I get enough sleep the night before. And I'll start the day off with, like I always do, Klingon Ridge application. I'll be playing some Dragon Age Inquisition. I'll be picking up. I'm in Act 2. Um and I just made it to the fancy dress party. So I've been like wandering around the fancy dress party in Act 2 of Inquisition. And then I'm going to play. I've never played any of the Tomb Raider games. So I got Tomb Raider 1, 2, 3 remastered.
Okay.
So I'm gonna give Tomb Raider a go.
Night,
Um then
just
I'll be
as
doing a
oh sorry, I
oh
was like, if those games are kind of rough, check out because it's my like one of my top maybe top five of all time. The 2013 Tomb Raider reboot,
oh nice, yeah.
100% would recommend. Just want to be like, hey, I know those games are a little old, but
Right. I'm excited because
yeah,
they just released the remaster this year.
yeah.
So
So
I'm hoping that like I'm hoping for something a little bit like Mass Effect Legendary Edition, where it might not, it may not be cleaned up quite as nice, but I mean, like these games have kind of withstood the test of time for a reason, I feel like. So I'm excited to play like the OG. Um, I'll be doing my concert at 3 p.m. where I'll be debuting 4 new holiday carols that I translated this year. Plus, I'll do the ones that I translated for last year, and I'll do some of my other stuff. My food challenge this year, I'm doing Miracle Berry.
What
So
is
it's
that?
the berry that changes your taste buds. So sour things taste sweet and sweet things taste sour. So I have
That's interesting.
I know I'm a little nervous, but I'm looking forward to it. I have a shopping list that they gave me. So I have I think almost everything that's in here. I just have to place the order. So I'll be doing that. I usually do a Jackbox party segment, and I do that where my donors are on um they can join me on Discord.
Mhm.
So they get first crack at whatever the code is before I make it public. And then so I play with donors. So there's a special room on my Discord server for donors. What else am I doing? I'm gonna play some Baldur's Gate 3. I'm gonna do Cthulhu Saves Christmas, or I
Oh.
might keep going with Baldur's Gate 3, but Cthulhu Saves Christmas was kind of fun. I figure since it's a holiday event, I'll do something that's a little bit holiday themed. I also have On Guard as an option to play with backups of Hades 2 and Stray Gods. And then from 3 a.m. to 8 a.m., it's basically whatever will keep me awake. So, like, I might play Vampire Survivors, Peglin. I may try to play the original Witcher game. We'll see if it crashes my computer.
I
Um,
remember.
Bay-
Sorry, I was like, I think you and I talked about our pain points with that one.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal.
Yeah.
And then I played Bayonetta in the past, and it's so funny and silly. I may bust that one out. And then I'll end this year. I used to end playing Hearthstone, but I just don't care about Hearthstone anymore. And I used to specifically play with a really crummy all Murloc deck. And like the point wasn't really to win.
Yeah.
Um, but I didn't frankly like the quality of people who would show up in my stream when I was playing Hearthstone.
Oh.
It was always folks would always come in and troll me. And it's like the last hour of my stream, I've been up for 24 hours. I'm like, now is not the time to troll me, child. Um and so I've kind of gotten away from that, and now I play Star Trek Online for the last hour, and I do the Star Trek Online equivalent to dungeon runs. Um and so people who play and are like viewers and fans, they can join me in the dungeon run. They're called TFOs, Task Force Operations. So I'll do TFOs, endeavors, whatever, for the last hour.
And so it just as I put a link to your channel in the chat. And what time does that start again? Sorry.
9 a.m. on
9 a.m.
Saturday. And actually, when we're done here, I'm gonna go hop in and do some Star Trek Online and probably pick up on Mass Effect a little bit.
So hang out here. We'll do a raid after. If someone, we'll give maybe a moment if someone wants to throw like a
Sure.
question for Jen before we end our stream. I do have one last. It's gonna be like my final question before we end it. But I always like to leave like just a moment for someone to ask questions. And I've been watching chat, but it's just like I wanted you to kind of tell your story. But you never know. Like maybe there's another chip question, or if and oh shoot, I wish I had the link. Check out our social medias. I did post the conversations we had about the game day marathon and our discussions about foods. Because
Nice.
I feel like that's always an important part about marathon day is just like
Yes.
make.
Marathons eating decently during the day of the marathon is very important. I don't drink
Mhm.
on game day. I actually don't even consume caffeine until it's absolutely necessary. So like I won't have coffee in the morning. I'll just have like herbal tea and then drink water all day. And I try to hold off on consuming any caffeine until about 3 a.m. Um, because then it actually like gives me the kick in the pants that I need to finish it out. and I drink chai. I
Mm.
make myself a nice warm chai latte. It's both cozy and because it's also usually cold, so, like, by that point, like, it helps warm me up a little bit, and it's got more caffeine than a cup of coffee, so it packs a really nice wallop. So that is my second wind drink of choice for stream day. But yeah, I try not to eat crummy snacks. I try to just like stick to granola bars and trail mix and um but I do eat pizza rolls for dinner every year. That's a tradition. And you don't mess with tradition.
I'm gonna see. I'm hoping I don't get an auto ad, but I know it's about 8 o'clock. I haven't seen any specific questions, but I know we're gonna for everyone here. We're gonna raid over your channel.
Okay. So I should
So
probably leave.
my one question is if someone if you were gonna talk to someone about why they should join or if they haven't been on the fence, what would you say is like, hey, this is why you should do Extra Life? You know,
Ooh.
toughy to end it, but I feel like it's a good one to end on.
I think that one of the things that I love about Extra Life is it takes something that so many of us are already doing, which is playing video games or playing D&D or playing board games or whatever, and gives you a way to channel that into something really positive. Um it's when you tell people, "You know what? I'm going to play games for 24 hours." They look at you like, "You're gonna do what?" Like, I have family members who are like, "I don't get it." And I'm like, it's like the bowl-a-thons of old, you know? Like, and, um, just pay a buck an hour, and I'm gonna, that's my accountability is gonna be streaming for 24 hours. Um, it's but you don't have to stream. I've loved over the years learning how other people Extra Life to make it more accessible to their life. Um, I love hearing about families that hold slumber parties with their kids. And so like the slumber party is a fundraiser. I've you know, I've I love hearing about and I've gone to see we have Peyton who hosts has been hosting these awesome like Warhammer tourneys where part of the thing is that people can do is donate and it gives them re-rolls and stuff like that for the event. I love that. You can do that with D&D. You could have like an epic D&D campaign. It can, and you don't have to do it on one day. You could be like, we're going to start this campaign on, and we're going to do 4 hours for the next 6 weeks or whatever. You can make it work for you. Have a family game night. It's just about committing to the thing and every dollar counts. There's, so many charities. That's for me one of the other important things is like so many charities out there they have administrative overhead. So you donate your $10, but only like 8 of it actually goes to the charity. And that's not the case with Extra Life. Every single penny, I liken it to Oprah who said in a she said once when she was telling people about donating to her like charity, she's like, "Look, I can buy my own paper clips. Every penny that you donate, is going to what I'm telling you it's going towards." And it's the same thing with Extra Life. Every penny goes to the hospital. And we're in such a weird crunch time with hospitals right now. It's so important. Like what we're doing is so important um for them. And I'm really it's really cool to live in Chicago where we have one of the best CMN hospitals in the country. Um is and they do so much charitable care, not just for people in Chicago, but for kids who get flown here from all over the world. Um and that's really cool. Like we're not just, it's not just it's about the community, but we also are helping the world at large here, and we really are a city of big shoulders. I think that nothing exemplifies that more than Lurie Children's.
I think that best sums up a lot about why people should join that. Thank you again, Jen, the Klingon Pop Warrior. I will stay on a little bit longer. Jen, I'll let you go because I know you gotta start up your stream.
We'll get my stream started.
And I'll just ramble off a bunch of random things that we have going on. So thank you again for joining. Meet the Guild.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining. And we'll raid your channel. And right. Everyone, I will give you all the updates soon. Let's see if I can figure out a way to make this is one of those things. We'll just leave it. We're professional in a way. But some things that we have going on is I've mentioned in previous streams, I do a lot of the digital content that we have here on the channel. And any streams that you may have missed, we have been putting the VOD up on YouTube. So that is a link to our YouTube channel. You can please subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. That'd be great. Appreciated. Have more plans for 2025. I'm going to try to be extra ambitious if time and energy allots it. What else do we got going on? Jackie, you're our big help. March, stay tuned. We do have a in-hospital game day coming up on December 14th. And also mark your calendars for March. We have plans for our new Extra Life Chicago gaming convention. We have conventions you will see us at coming up in the next few months. If anyone's interested in joining our guild and volunteering, please check out. There's a Linktree link in our channel. It should be in there. And you can go there and basically we will have all our info for Discord, social media, things like that. I'm gonna just raid Jen in just a moment. I'm gonna let her know. So yeah, thank you again, everyone, for hanging out. Yes, really looking forward to our game day. I have so many Lorcana cards. People come to our game day, I will be teaching Lorcana. That is my goal. I'm gonna get everyone hooked. Yeah, I just let Jen know that we're gonna raid, so let me set that up. And yeah, thank you everyone once again. I'm Aerodash84. I will put a link to my channel. You can follow me there. And everyone, I like to sign off all my streams with think about what you put in the world. I get a better place. Everyone, have